What is up, you spooky little sluts? I hope you brought some popcorn because this is going to be a long one filled with hauntings and controversies. Today, we're talking about the Warren Occult Museum in Connecticut. And in 2025, if you don't know who Ed and Lorraine are, I assume you either live under a rock or you're fucking retarded. But for some reason, let's say you don't know who they are. Let's get into it. Ed and Lorraine were both born in the late 1920s and grew up their entire lives in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and met as teenagers. Ed had even served in the Navy during World War II, and then later studied art, while Lorraine discovered her clairvoyant powers as a young girl. Lorraine claimed that around 7 or 8 years old is when she could start seeing people's auras around them. Scared to tell her parents, she kept these powers to herself until she met her husband Ed at 16 years old. Ed claimed he could sense something different about Lorraine, and claiming that he himself grew up in a haunted house, became a self-taught demonologist. So they pooled their powers and experience together, and decided to investigate the paranormal for the rest of their lives. In 1952, they established the New England Society for Paranormal Research, which is often cited as the country's oldest paranormal investigation group. They have claimed to have investigated over 10,000 cases throughout their career, often collaborating with police and clergymen. They are most notably known for 3 cases: the Amityville murders, the Annabelle doll, and the Perron family haunting. But Cody, what's so controversial about them? They're just your run-of-the-mill paranormal investigators trying to help people, right? I'm so glad you asked. Yes and no. Even though Ed had claimed himself a demonologist, there's no record of him ever going to seminary school. They claimed that in their time as investigators, having done over 10,000 different hauntings. Now let's do the math. That is 1 case a day for almost 27 and a half years with no time and no weekends off. And if you go off just their books and some of the other media appearances they've done, it was damn near impossible. Because some of these cases seem to have taken days, weeks, and sometimes even months to resolve them. And not only that, Ed had a day job as a bus driver. They had a child, they wrote books, made several media appearances on a regular basis, and ran the Occult Museum out of their home. So how could they possibly have accomplished all of this? Because I don't know about you guys, but if I'm with a girl and she's pregnant, I'm not letting her fucking come on a demon investigation. Do you know how dangerous and wildly irresponsible that would have fucking been? But never mind that. Back to Ed and Lorraine. One of the most famous things they've done is when they consulted for the Amityville haunting. The book Amityville Horror by Jay Anson, published in 1977, had gone viral in pop culture and even inspired a movie to be made. But the book and movie have a few holes in them and are famously debunked. The Lutz family claims to have found a demonic hoofprint in the snow. However, weather records show that there was no snowfall in their area at that time. The book also greatly details the extensive amount of damage that the house took. However, hinges, knobs, and latches that were all original in the construction were never actually touched. Both the book and the movie also describe that the police were called during the 28-day siege. Police records show that during this siege that drove the Lutz family from the home, the police were never even called. Now don't get me wrong, I'm convinced that the Conjuring house is haunted as fuck. Several shows and YouTubers have been to the Conjuring house to investigate, including two of my personal favorites, The Boys and Twin Paranormal. And the Warrens' investigation of the Conjuring house is what inspired the movie. Ed, Lorraine, and one of the parents' children all claim that the movie is completely accurate as to what really happened. But the current owner, Norma, believes that it's complete fiction and even has an hour-long video of her own on YouTube calling them out for everything. In 1971, Roger and Carolyn Perrin moved into the 14-room house in Harrisville, Rhode Island with their 5 daughters. Almost immediately, the family began experiencing very strange occurrences. Some of the earlier things were unexplained noises, things moving on their own, and the feelings of being watched. But over the years, things had escalated, eventually forcing their hand to seek the help from Ed and Lorraine Warren. They conducted their investigation and performed a seance in the house to try and communicate with the spirits. They performed their investigation and conducted a seance in the house to try and communicate with the spirits, which is when Lorraine claimed she felt a very malevolent presence inside the home. Believed to be Bathsheba Sherman, a witch who reportedly lived in the area in the 19th century. The hauntings greatly affected the family, especially Carolyn and her daughters, who eventually experienced physical attacks. But the family remained in the house until 1980, enduring nearly a decade of vicious paranormal activity. One of the daughters, Andrea, even wrote a book called House of Darkness, House of Light, attributing her paranormal experiences and attributing to the lore surrounding the house. But the current owner of the house and her mother, Carolyn Perrin, both claim that the movie was almost completely fake, with Carolyn herself saying that it was 95% fiction. Even though the real Annabelle doll doesn't have the porcelain skin and lifelike features that she does in the movie, she's a regular Raggedy Ann doll, and that somehow makes it even creepier. As the story goes, Annabelle was given to a young nurse named Donna on her 28th birthday from her mother, where she brought it back to her apartment, which she shared with her friend Angie. At first seeming innocent, sitting on the couch greeting visitors, they soon noticed that she was haunted and would move around the room on her own accord. Before work, Donna would set her on the living room sofa, and by the time she got home, Annabelle was in her bedroom with the door shut. The young women also soon found notes written on parchment paper reading "Help me," when they didn't even keep parchment in the home. One afternoon, Angie's boyfriend Lou was in the apartment alone when he suddenly heard glass breaking as if somebody broke in. Rushing out to the living room and seeing no signs of forced entry, only Annabelle laying on the floor, face down, when he suddenly felt searing pain in his chest, looking down and seeing bloody claw marks, just for them to vanish without a trace 2 days later. Following Lou's attack, the girls invited over a medium to help solve their paranormal problem. The medium held a seance in attempts to communicate with whatever was haunting the doll, only to be told that it was a young girl named Annabelle Higgins, a 7-year-old girl whose body had been discovered years earlier on the very site where the apartment building was built. Following the seance, this medium had claimed that the spirit was benevolent and just wanted to be loved and cared for, getting the childhood that she never received during her life. Feeling bad, the young nurses allowed the spirit to remain inside the doll and take up permanent residence inside their home. It didn't take long for the girls to realize their mistake and find out that the spirit inside Annabelle wasn't really a little girl, but in fact something much, much darker. Eventually, in an attempt to get rid of this evil spirit, Angie and Donna had contacted an Episcopal priest named Father Hagen. After Father Hagen failed to rid the evil spirit from the doll in the home, he was forced to contact his superior, who contacted Ed and Lorraine. As far as the Warrens were concerned, the girls' trouble began when they believed that the doll actually deserved sympathy, and believed that the spirit was benevolent even after attacking Angie's boyfriend. Ed believed that whatever was inside Annabelle wasn't even just a malevolent spirit, but a demon. The Warrens' account of the case reads, "Spirits do not possess inanimate objects like houses or toys. They possess people. An inhuman spirit can attach itself to a place or object, and this is what occurred in the Annabelle case. This spirit manipulated the doll and created the illusion of it being alive in order to get recognition. Truly, the spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll, it was looking to possess a human host." Ed and Lorraine quickly noted that it was nothing but demonic activity, featuring teleportation, which was the doll moving on its own, materialization, the notes left on parchment paper, and the physical attack on Lou, which they noted as the mark of the beast. Subsequently ordering an exorcism of the entire apartment, the Warrens immediately took possession of the doll and moved her into the museum inside their home in hopes that the demonic activity would end for the nurses. Following the removal of Annabelle from the apartment, Lorraine quickly documented other paranormal activity happening within just minutes. They buckled Annabelle into the back seat of their car and vowed not to take the highway, just in case she had some sort of accident-causing powers. Yet the safer back roads even proved to be dangerous. Lorraine had claimed that several times the brakes had either stalled or failed completely, but as soon as Ed pulled out holy water and doused the doll, the issues stopped. Upon arriving home, they placed Annabelle inside of Ed's study, where they said that within the following few days, she had teleported across the entire house all on her own. Even when placed in an outside building locked completely on her own, she would still turn up inside the house. And that is when they decided to lock her up for good. Having a specially made case of wood and glass inscribed with the Lord's Prayer and St. Michael's Prayer, which if you grew up Catholic like I did, and the Warrens did, you know that St. Michael's Prayer is very powerful against fighting demons, as he is the one who fought the devil himself. And for the rest of Ed's life until his death in 2006, he would occasionally even say a binding prayer over the box. And that is where Annabelle had remained untouched and unmoved for years, until about a month ago, when her caretaker Dan Rivera suddenly died after taking her on tour with him. Inside the museum, in the basement of the Warrens' home, lies several other supposedly haunted artifacts, such as a haunted piano that was recovered from the home of a dead priest, where Ed often heard the keys being played in the middle of the night, but when he got up to check them out, the noise would suddenly stop when he entered the room. A monkey toy holding an accordion is said to also be a vessel similar to Annabelle, and it's said that the demon stalks and attempts to kill you. The shadow doll, made out of bird feathers and human teeth, is said to be a cursed artifact used in rituals to haunt people's nightmares, stop their hearts, and kill them in their sleep. The conjuring mirror, taken from the Conjuring House, believed to be a portal for demons and malevolent spirits to enter our world. Voodoo dolls recovered in the 1970s, said to have been used to curse specific people and cause generational curses. The Devil's Rocking Chair, where a young 11-year-old boy claimed to have seen the rocking chair moving on its own, and in it sitting a figure reminiscent of the devil. The rest of his family have also claimed to have seen the rocking chair moving, but have never seen the spirit inside. The Pearls of Death, a pearl necklace handed down through generations until its final owner was choked so severely that they had to be ripped off her neck. A large idol, believed to be depicting the devil, found just outside Sandy Hook, Connecticut. A young hunter found it in the forest, and soon after was confronted by a man in all black robes. After his confrontation with the man, he was put in contact with Ed and Lorraine Warren. Almost as soon as Ed put it in the museum, his wife Lorraine had fallen very ill, and doctors could not explain what was happening to her. He believed it was a curse put on them by a satanic temple's high priest who once owned the idol. With over 100 artifacts in the museum, including a mummy, a vampire's coffin, a child's headstone, African fertility dolls, and other black magic ritual items. It's no doubt that this museum is severely haunted. And despite the controversies and lies surrounding Ed and Lorraine, you cannot dispute the fact how much they contributed to the paranormal world. They were the first big investigators and paved the way for several hundred other groups. But you might be wondering what is going on with the museum today, being that Ed passed away in 2006 and Lorraine in 2019. Comedian Matt Rife and influencer Elton Castier have purchased the Warrens Museum and will serve as legal guardians over the property. While it's unsure if it's going to be a permanent thing, the contract states that it will be for a minimum of 5 years. After being closed for 6 years, the duo plans to eventually reopen the museum to the public and possibly even do overnight stays. Which, if that's the case, I would absolutely love to go and visit and even stay overnight there. But what would you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching and sticking around till the end. Have a good one. I'll see you next week.